brothers, listen closely. Tonight we make the Trojans pay. 10 years of war, they killed us slowly.
Is this thing on?
But now we'll be the ones who
To slay.
Think of your wives
I'm gonna
and
turn
your
this off.
children. Your families wonder where you've been.
Off. Keep it off.
They're growing old and yet you're still here. Do what I say and you'll see them again.
Yes, sir.
Diomedes will lead the charge. Agamemnon will flank the guards.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a hot minute since I've gone live.
Yes, sir. Find that inner strength now. Use that well of pride. Fight through every pain now.
I don't even
Ask
know.
yourself inside what you live
I don't even know what things sound like. Since I last streamed, I have now gone back to a single PC setup as the buddy who was letting me borrow his PC took it back. So, and since I had moved over to a dual PC setup, all of my all of my stuff that was like what's it called? Why am I spacing on my name of this? All of the stuff that was all of my configurations, that's the word that I'm looking for. Sorry, it's early in the morning. All of my configurations had been effectively set in such a way that I think my camera's looking fine right now. Yeah, my camera's looking fine right now. I'm gonna add one more thing on the back side of this right now. But all of my stuff had been like, I wiped my PC because I was having issues with it. And so I haven't taken the time to actually get everything re-imported back into OBS. There's been so much other shit going on in my life. These last 9 months have just been incredibly difficult. But, you know, that's just kind of the reality of life, you know. Go through seasons of things where it's not going to go the way that you want it to. That's okay. And I think that the measure of probably any person, or a decent measure of it, is learning how to see how well they can actually, you know, handle those realities.
I could raise him as my
Your house and home. Okay, this is I needed to add one more thing. Is media source, I believe? Yeah. This is the will of the gods. Let's copy this, paste this over there. Then I should be able to take this. Oh, that's not what I want. There we go. That's at least a little more visually appealing. I'm gonna lock the other two things down, make sure I can't accidentally move those. Literally none of my stuff is set up, so you guys will have to bear with me here. I don't even have like an intermission screen. Okay, I'm gonna say okay on that. I'm gonna close out of that, minimize. Fit to screen, Control F. Let's do that then. There we go. I need to like just open up YouTube or something, see if caps lock is on. Well, that's crazy. Does it show me as live right now? Interesting. It shows. Oh, it shows two streams because I have the vertical and the horizontal. Yeah, it's been a while, Zala. It's been a while. Welcome on in, man. It has been a hot minute since I've gone live, but good to know that I'm actually live on Twitch. I was checking to see if the streams are actually running. Good to see you though. How you been? It's been a minute. And I will be discussing why here in just a second. Give a little bit of a detail. Warm yet. I am starting to experience that too. I don't know. I don't remember what area of the country that you're in. I'm in the greater Seattle area, and so the weather is not insane here, but it has definitely started to heat up. I think today's actually going to be cooler, but the last several days has been like pretty much mid 80s, and so I finally decided, you know what, I'm gonna pull out the AC unit. So I pulled out my portable AC unit and have been letting that thing kind of keep me cool. I just keep it in my room. The rest of my apartment stays very warm, but I keep it in my room. So let me turn that off. Oh, interesting. Weird. Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna close out of that then. Have an AC, but even that struggles as of late. My AC unit works fine, specifically because I only use it for my room. Like my room in particular is small enough. Like I'm pretty sure this thing that I have is like, I think it's rated for, I think it's like a 14,000 BTU unit, which is rated for a room significantly larger than mine. Like I'm pretty sure it would be good to cover another like 200 to 300 square feet than what it's currently covering. So like it 100% has the capacity to keep my room cool, even when I'm like full gaming and doing all that. So, but anyways, so I have to let it run 18 hours a day. That's tough. You know, actually, speaking of that, I'm actually gonna turn mine off because it's cool enough right now outside that I don't really have it on, so I'm gonna turn that off super quick. And imagine playing Beat Saber in this heat. Oof. It has been a minute since I've actually played some Beat Saber. I still have it installed, but I just haven't. When I did the wipe of my PC to kind of like resolve some issues that I was having, all the mods and stuff went with it, and so I have a lot of them reinstalled, but getting that set up took me a while. Because I didn't have my chat to remind me exactly what all I had installed. So I'll give you guys a quick little rundown. Why does that do that? Sorry, I'm gonna change one thing on this. South, that's what I want. There we go. Okay, cool. I need the ability to have my music turned off in my own ears otherwise, because I really like this music, but if I keep it on in my ears, I'm not going to be able to order my thoughts as I'm kind of talking about stuff. I'm going to move this over here real quick. Put up one thing, and then I can kind of launch into it. Okay, so when was the last time I actually streamed? It has been a minute. Oh yeah, Steam Machine. Yeah, we got some fun stuff to talk about there too. But let's go to the Steam Machine, not the Steam Machine. When was the last time I was live? Literally like 11 months ago. My little soda pop. I was streaming on Beat Saber. Oh man. So we're gonna kind of go through the motions here, talk about a lot of different things. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think if the Steam Machine had been released at a better price point, I would have been more gung-ho about it. And it's not even like, it's not like, I don't think Valve is like in the wrong with kind of where they price things at. Like, I don't think they're a company that needs to subsidize their hardware, and the fact that the current market is doing what it's doing to everyone, not just Valve, has kind of like led things to be where they're at right now. Like, I watched some of the Gamers Nexus video talking about, like, he was doing some interviews with Valve people, and they essentially said they weren't even able to source some of their hardware. Like, they had no capacity to source some of their hardware because of all the shortages of stuff that's happening right now. And so literally for the Steam machines, some of the Steam machines will come with a single 16 gigabyte RAM module, and others will come with two 8 gigabyte RAM modules. Like, that is the reality of the space that we are dealing with right now, which is crazy. Now, I don't think that that's going to have a big enough impact on performance for enough people to actually like notice and do anything about it. I don't think it's going to be like I think it's going to be a bit of a non-starter of an issue. But it is more so just to illustrate, you know, the realities and the difficulties of what it is that the industry at large is dealing with and how that's impacted a company like Valve. But anyways, so why have I been gone for the past 11 months? Well, when I originally took some time off, it was only going to be for a couple of weeks. And that was because I was going to be going on vacation. I was going to be going to visit family, and I just wasn't going to be at my setup, so I was going to take some time off. In the middle of that vacation, I received some word from the people that I was going through a school program with for game design, and I had essentially been told the program has we essentially have it's been brought to our attention that you have been live streaming some of this material, and that is something that is a violation of both the like, some of the material that you have been live streaming is material that is exclusive to the like university itself, and the some of the things that essentially there were concerns for them as far as cognitive debt in the way that I was engaging with some of the content, because I had been utilizing AI for the purposes of trying to expedite me getting through some of the work. All of this ended up essentially leading to, there was a potential, it was a real possibility that I was going to be expelled from the program. I was, understandably, I think, pretty stressed about that. I had to attend a couple different meetings. I kind of essentially had to make a case for myself. There were some concerns about privacy of other students, which is, I mean, there's a big reason why there's a big reason why a lot of the streams that I actually have are no longer even on my channel anymore. I had to remove a lot of stuff. So technically I haven't streamed in a little less than a year. I think it's been like 8 months, something like that. But I had to remove pretty much all of that content because I wasn't going to go through and parse out specifically which things like were and were not meeting these concerns that were being labeled. And so it was just like, remove the content, just the safer bet, so it's not on the channel anymore. So there was that, and this was almost immediately kind of going in with this, and this is something that I had mentioned earlier as well. I had been laid off, and so laid off, started my school program, had this issue happen right around Christmas time, and was able to find a new job. That job was not enough to go ahead and cover the cost of my bills. Had to get a second job. Got a second job. Car broke down, so I had to spend literally the last of my savings to be able to get my car back up and running so I could actually make it to the jobs that I now had. All while dealing with this hanging over my head of the school issue, which thankfully they did not kick me out of the program. I think they could see and understand that there was no malicious intent behind what I was doing, and that it was simply just I didn't think anything of it. With that being said, it was still a concern, and a corrective action plan was put into place to essentially enable me to be able to continue doing the program. So over the course of winter break, instead of taking a little bit of time to decompress between quarters, I spent most of that time just working through the bulk of the corrective action plan that I needed to get done. And again, while all this is happening, while all this other stuff is going on,
We're just travelers.
moving from this into the rest of the program, I'm going through the motions, I'm doing a lot of work, things are going okay, and I ended up getting into a relationship with someone. It was great. That person also broke up with me throughout the course of the time that I've been I've not been streaming. So it wasn't a very long relationship, but just for some extra context, if you really need to know how much of a turbo virgin my ass is, that was the first relationship I've ever actually been in. That was really difficult for me. And so, all that being said, it was kind of just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. And while I have not been... while I have been able to make it through, this last 8 months, 9 months has been very mentally difficult for me, and combine all of this with just the general stresses that come with like trying to make sure that I'm actually doing everything that the program requires of me. It was just a lot for me. There are some people who may have been able to handle it better than I did. I was not in a position where I was capable of like showing up to stream in the way that I wanted to. So with all that kind of just being out of the way as far as what the hell have I been doing, that's kind of the gist of it. I have since completed the program, and I think that I have, for the most part, kind of worked my way back into the good graces of the people who were responsible for kind of putting me through the corrective action plan. And I think that having gone through the rest of the program without really having utilized AI for like anything, I think I have a greater appreciation for kind of what it was that they were talking about. Towards the end of quarter 2, I really started to think to myself, you know, I kind of get what they were talking about when they said they were concerned about cognitive debt. I can understand I have a greater appreciation for, you know, when you are trying to learn this stuff starting out. You don't know what you don't know. And while I still think AI is an incredibly useful tool and should be utilized and should be leveraged, when you are learning something, I think that it shouldn't be used to shortcut almost any of the work. And the reason I think that is because the extra cognitive effort that's required to be able to get you from point A to point B in anything that you're doing is so much more valuable to you than simply having access to the answer is. Because all of that mesh network of you are working through problem solving and not allowing any other elements of technology to help fill those gaps, I think the progress that you will make up front will be slower. And the comprehension and understanding that you have of any given subject that you are learning will also be greater for it in the long run. All that to say, I am very, very glad that in the corrective action plan that I was given, that one of the stipulations that I had was I could not use AI for the rest of the program. I think that I think that was probably one of the best things that they could have done for me, was to restrict my access to that stuff. Now, over the course of the past 3 months in particular, a lot of stuff that I have been working on for the program is stuff that has been heavily application material applied. We essentially had 10 weeks to make a game, and we did. And I would say that there was only one person in our group who had actually made a game prior to this project, and going through this project, his particular like approach to this was, I want your guys' ideas and your guys' processes to be what comes to the forefront here. I don't want to be taking any extra responsibility than is required of me, not because he didn't want to disengage from the project, but because this is something he's already done. And he wanted to ensure that we, as the people who are learning the most from this course, had the opportunity to be able to exercise what avenues of skill development that we wanted to actually exercise. And he did not want to be the one that was going to be taking that away from people for the sake of efficiency with this project. Could we maybe have done more if he had been spearheading things? Very possibly. But that wasn't really the point. The point was to take what we learned throughout quarter 1, which is the fundamentals of game design, quarter 2, which is game mechanics and systems balancing, and then apply those within like an actual development environment with very, very tight time constraints for what we were capable of accomplishing. And I think that in the time that we had, we put something together that was very, very solid. And I am very pleased with what we ended up coming up with. For that project, I served as the producer and the level designer. So, and we're doing a little bit more polished. Like, we've since done our presentations, and we were able to do them in front of a lot of fantastic industry vets with a lot of different backgrounds. So I was very, very happy to be able to have that opportunity, and I think that, you know, we've gotten our feedback, and I'm very happy with the general, you know, stuff that we got in return for what we were doing. I think all the feedback that we got was very, very valuable, but we wanted to polish up our game a little bit more before we actually, like, to essentially use as like a solid portfolio piece. So we are going to be working on that for a couple more sprints. And then once we do that, I have a lot of stuff in store for what I'm going to be tackling over the course of the next, essentially, year. I have a very broad outline of things that I'm going to be working on. And I've talked with one of my instructors about that outline. I've been given some feedback on it, and I need to refine it based on that feedback. But with those refinements kind of in place, or once I tackle those refinements, I'm going to be in a position, I think, to really quite heavily work in the role of production and do it well. And I'm excited to be able to do that. But that being said, I will be more than happy to, I mean, we have a build of our game that is functional, but I would like to polish it up a little bit more. We're probably going to be putting our game up on itch. No, we will be putting our game up on itch once we get through these last couple of sprints that we're going to be doing for it. And I'll be excited to share that with you guys when we get to that point. It is a very, very small game, so temper expectations. It's nothing that's like to call home about, but I'm very proud of what we were able to put together in the short period of time that we had to actually work on it. So that is kind of all that there. Kind of long-winded explanation as to kind of where I've been at, what I've been working on, and most of the reasons why I have not been present as far as streaming stuff goes. But yeah, so that is that. And I think that there's a lot to be said for the direction of, you know, using there's a lot to be said for taking the direction of understanding and recognizing that, you know, when you kind of fuck up, when you kind of make mistakes, because your boy is definitely fucked up and made some mistakes over the course of the past 8 months, that there's something to be said for being willing to just persevere through all that shit. I'm very lucky. I have a great support system. I have a lot of people that care deeply about me and that I care deeply about. But when you're talking about, you know, the difference between the people who can become, who are able to accomplish the goals that they set for themselves, I think that is the differentiator right there, is the capacity that they have and the capacity that they develop, because that's not a static thing. It's the capacity that they develop to be able to deal with shit that is far less than ideal. So, I think that given everything that I was kind of going through over the course of the past 8 months, I would say that there's still a lot of room for improvement, but I am very personally proud of what I've been able to work through. So, it's good stuff. 1 second.
These waves and tides have grown in strength and size. Is it nature or divine or a blessing in disguise? Our homes inside. This storm's our final fight. There's no time to die. Comrades, brace for a storm. The likes of which we've never seen before. Brace for a storm.
Okay, cool. Let's grab my water.
Towards the island, but avoid the crashing waves. Tread where the
Alright, guys.
and then you will be safe. Captain, we will capsize with these waves. Our fleet will fail. Have them follow my ship. I'll ensure that we prevail.
So I guess the question then is, what are we doing now that we're back to streaming? The answer to that is somewhat multifaceted, but it's going to be significantly less exciting than I think most people are probably anticipating. As far as content goes, I'm probably going to be utilizing I'm going to be utilizing less so streaming. I will continue streaming, but I'm going to be utilizing streaming more so as like a way to get YouTube stuff done, and as more like just like an accountability type thing. One of the things that I want to be doing is I want to be waking up at 5 a.m. every morning, so that I can actually be utilizing my time in the morning to actually get that done. So my stream times will be reflecting that as a way to kind of personally reinforce what I need to be doing for myself. And so you're going to see some early morning streams pretty consistently moving forward. What you will see as far as the content goes, you're going to be seeing me read a lot of books. The first of those
You've heard the legends of the island in the sky. This proves they're true.
is this,
In the home of
The Art of Game Design.
how many floats
A book of lenses. The general. Here, I'll just go ahead and I'll go ahead and read the inner cover, because since you guys are going to be hearing me read this book anyways. Jesse Schell's new book, The Art of Game Design, is a marvelous introduction to game design by a true master of the form. Mr. Schell is the rarest of creatures, a gifted teacher who is also a talented and successful current game designer. This book reflects Jesse's skill at presenting information clearly and coherently, and the knowledge he has acquired as a master game designer. I have already referenced this book while preparing lectures and classes in the US, Germany, and New Zealand, and recommended it as an invaluable aid for anyone interested in game design. The Art of Game Design is a pitch-perfect blend of valuable knowledge and insights with an informal and compelling presentation. The sections on harnessing the creative power of the subconscious mind are particularly insightful and delightfully written. It is immediately clear that Jesse Schell not only knows the theory behind what he writes about, but he has also put it to use many times and honed his techniques to perfection. A must-read for anyone interested in interactive design and even the creative process in general. The Art of Game Design describes precisely how to build a game the world will love. and elegantly crank it through the realities of clients and publishers. It draws wisdom from Disneyland to Michelangelo, gradually assembling a supply of concrete game design rules and subtle psychological tricks that actually work in surprising ways. It's fertilizer for the subconscious. Keep a stack of post-it notes nearby to record all the game ideas that will sprout out of your own head while reading. So, this is kind of a book that, this is a book that was directly recommended to me by the head of the program that I, for the game design program that I just went through. And I am of the opinion that while this is definitely not going to be like an all-in-one comprehensive way to kind of establish, it's not going to give me all the game design skills that I need. That's only going to come with time and practice. I think that the ability to be able to evaluate things from a multitude of different lenses and understanding what those lenses are and how they can apply into the game design process is going to be very, very valuable for me. Granted, this is not necessarily directly related to what it is like the area of game dev that I would like to go into, which is specifically production. With that being said, I think that this is a very, very valuable book for me to go through, specifically because even if I don't end up actually working as a designer on games, the value that comes from understanding the different ways that people are going to be looking through looking at the work that they're doing and understanding how to structure it will, I think, help me understand what I can be doing. Well, it will help me understand the frames of mind that the people that I could potentially be responsible for being a producer for, like what's actually going on in their heads. And I think understanding those frames of mind will help me dramatically on the soft skills side. Because I think that one of the best things that anyone can do for themselves is to just is to essentially learn to engage with other people's mindsets and understanding where they're at. I think that's the best thing from a soft skills perspective, like what anyone is capable of doing. So this will probably be the first one that I read. I think what I'm going to be doing, like as I'm reading through, the books, like I'm essentially going to be trying to read through, or I will be reading through one book a month. Some of those books might be shorter, some of those books might be longer, but I will be reading through one book a month. Most of the books that I will be reading through are going to be focusing on production. So The Art of Game Design is definitely not a production-focused book, but I think it is a valuable book that I should read, for the reasons that I've already stated. So, with that being the case, I'm thinking that I'm probably going to launch into this book tomorrow as opposed to today. And the reason is because today I kind of want to focus a bit more on some of the functional things that I I want to do a bit more of a functional focus on some of the other things that I'm going to be doing here. So let me move this over to this side for half a moment. More of that. There we go. All right, guys. This right here. This is a publicly accessible drive that is going to be essentially the track record of everything that I'm going to be doing over the course of the next year. I've already put together a projected sprint timeline that covers the course of the next year. And while there is wiggle room for this to change, as I've already said, there's an email that I need to respond to from one of the instructors that is essentially going to refine, like I've sent in the broad strokes of what it is that I want to get done here. I'm going to he's given me some feedback, and I'm going to refine the structure based on the feedback that he's given me. And then I will kind of like launch into like actually attacking this in a pretty meaningful way. Yo, what's up, Albert? Long time no see. It has been a while since I've gone live, but I am here. So this particular thing that I'm working on here is going to be kind of like my public record of what it is that I'm working on, what it is that I'm doing, and all of that is. AI bros. I mean, I definitely understand the sentiment. So this is going to be essentially like my public accountability for everyone. If you want to know what it is that I am planning on doing, I will make this link readily accessible to people. I'll have it in my Discord. I'll probably be putting it just in my socials links as well, just so that people can see what it is that I'm actually doing, what it is that I'm currently working on, what I'm planning on working on, and what I have worked on. This is kind of a double-edged or multi-pronged thing. Seeing the showcase of Unreal 6 physically made you depressed? You know, if I'm being honest, as far as the specific use case for Unreal Engine goes, I don't see that in particular as an issue. And the reason, like I watched that showcase, or a chunk of it, and the reason why that particular use case is not something that's like bothering me is because those types of like applications are gonna be helpful in getting people, you know, 70 to 80% of the way that they are wanting to go. And from a pure productivity standpoint, that's not a bad thing. People will be able to describe what it is that they're looking for. Those changes will be able to be made. And my understanding of the way that it works, I could be wrong about this, but my understanding of the way that it works is that those things that get made are not like hard-coded things. Like, obviously, there's things under the hood that are changing as far as the code goes, but these are more so like things that are being added that aren't changing major dependencies on other stuff. I could be wrong about that, but like in the sense of, you know, the atmospheric changes that they were kind of showcasing, using those atmospheric changes, those are kind of just dials that you adjust within Unreal Engine, and changing those dials isn't probably going to negatively impact the development process in any crazy way. If you're talking about hard coding, like environmental creation, looks like it's going to be pretty helpful with that. If you're talking about hard coding stuff, probably not as good to be able to use that for, because while you can definitely like get code done with AI, depending on the scale of your game, that could be a boon, or that could be a dangerous tool that doesn't take into account all the dependencies that would be required to be accounted for when you're making things, that I think overall a human or humans working in teams would be able to better account for than AI. Granted, I don't really have much coding experience, so maybe I'm just talking out of my ass on that, but I think there's good use cases for it, and I think that the whole point of AI is to help save time, and I think that tools like that in Unreal Engine 6 make sense to exist. Now, granted, all that being said, it does kind of suck ass that that AI as a whole is eating up a stupid amount of the hardware available on the market. That's really frustrating, because that just means, guess what? Anyone who wants to buy hardware is going to be paying massively inflated prices, and that's probably not going to change for the next several years, which really, really sucks. But that's what we're dealing with. That's just kind of where we're at. So, it's so interesting, because hating AI for the sake of hating AI is fucking stupid, in my opinion. AI does have its place. It does have its use. I think a lot of people are very, very prone to... I think a lot of people are very prone, especially in the video game space, to just say, this thing had AI in it, terrible game because AI. And if you simply hate something because it is what it is, and you don't have like a logical underlying reasoning behind it beyond just, I don't like the way it makes me feel, like, you're not really doing yourself or anyone else any favors. Like a good example would be oh, the hell's the name of the demo? I think it was like, was it 1866 or something? What was the name of the game that was like advertised?
What a brilliant speech you gave. Who goes there? Just a friend who could help you save your men.
Which game
not to be messed with. You want to be
announced on
the blessing of a certain God. Divine intervention.
Announced during
Send a message.
Xbox Showcase?
Hermes?
Was it the Xbox Showcase or was it Summer Games Fest?
Wouldn't you like a taste of the power? Wouldn't you like to use more than words? Deep in the night,
I don't remember the name of it. 1666, Amsterdam. So I played the prologue for this. Like this actually doesn't look bad.
I was born to be the collector. To protect.
I feel depressed because it feels like if I was to make a very great game, people might call it AI or spend a very long time making it. The world would criticize you and saying you should have used AI. I mean, when you're working in the world of creative stuff like video games, just anything that is creative, anything that is creative, you need to have a very, very clear idea in your mind of who you're making the content for. Whether that's YouTube content, Twitch content, gaming content, general just art. You need to understand who it is that you're making it for before you start. Because if you don't, you will be very, very subject to the whims of the masses online. And that is a bad place to be. Like, a good example, one thing that we talked about in our game design course is separating noise from signal. Noise being what you should ignore, signal being what actually is meaningful feedback. When you're talking about playtesting, in playtesting, if you were to playtest something like Elden Ring, and the developers of Elden Ring were to hear feedback that what they were playing, or what the playtesters were actually playing, was too hard, do you think that the developers of Elden Ring at FromSoft should make the game easier because people that were playtesting it were saying it was too hard? I'll give you a spoiler. The answer is no. And the reason that that's the case is because that is the design intent. That is what they were trying to do. They were trying to make a game that is genuinely difficult in some capacity. And so when people say the game is too hard, that is noise, that is not signal. So if you are making something, you need to understand, and some of this is just going to come with experience. You will screw up, you will make mistakes as you're trying to identify this. But when you get feedback from people, not all feedback is created equal. And understanding the difference, or learning to understand the difference between noise and signal, is incredibly important. You will not be able to please everyone. If you use AI, you will have people who despise you for using AI. If you don't use AI, people probably won't despise you for not using AI, but you are also going to cut down on some of the efficiency of what you're doing. Now, granted, again, using AI is something that is probably better served for people who already know what they're doing in the field, because they have the background and technical understanding and expertise to be able to discern what is and is not good or bad implementation. And so as they test these features, they have a much better discerning eye to be able to say, yes, this is good, or no, this is bad. And then they adjust their workflows or don't adjust their workflows accordingly. You really have to be capable of when you're talking about utilizing any type of tool, so long as there is a logical reason behind it that you can defend and have like data points to point to and say, these are the reasons, this is my theory behind why I think I should be doing this. These are the data points that support that reason. That is how you should approach it. You should, generally speaking, when you're talking about production of anything, even in the creative space, you shouldn't just be making decisions exclusively based on feelings. It's not a bad thing to let your feelings kind of guide some of the directions you might want to take, but those feelings should always lend themselves to an underlying core logic that you can reasonably defend. Single person could make the equivalent of GTA 4, spend 20 years making it, and people would think they just used AI, or what a loser for spending 20 years of passion when they could have used AI. I think that's an incorrect statement. Simply having a cityscape to drive around in is very, very. Who the fuck is you? I don't know, dude. Some washed up nobody. That's who I am. I'm a washed up nobody. I don't know what I'm doing here. There's a lot more that goes into making a game than simply having a big cityscape to drive through. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna say that specifically for like GTA 4, just taking that as the example because it was brought up, the actual city itself was probably constructed, or at least like the general space of it was probably constructed in, I would imagine, less than a tenth of the time of like the total development of like what it took to make that game. Pulling that number out of my ass. But making a physical space like that, not as time consuming, I would imagine, as like other element. Now I could be wrong about that, because like level design does take a lot of time. Like good level design takes time. A really good example of that would be like Skyrim. Like there's a lot of very intentional things that Skyrim does in its map design that make it feel very, very like when you're standing in any region of Skyrim, you cannot see any of the other major cities. Like if you're in the area surrounding Whiterun, you cannot see any of the other cities that surround Whiterun, despite the fact that Whiterun is smack dab in the center of the map, and the Skyrim map really isn't that big. That's a level design implementation. That's a world design thing. They specifically placed physical objects in the visual way of every other city so that each region felt isolated from the rest to help give the world of Skyrim a greater sense of scale than it actually had. That's a very intentional level design decision. That type of stuff, like making a big sprawling world, is not difficult. Making a big sprawling world that conveys the thematics and elements that you want it to in a meaningful way, that takes time. Sorry, just catching up on the messages. Personally, remove yourself from using AI because building something layer by layer, atom by atom can be satisfying if you know it's going to be satisfying doing it atom by atom for you. I'm of the opinion that building anything is probably, if you're just starting out, you should be building things atom by atom. It's okay to use AI to try to like troubleshoot things if you're struggling with something, but you should be using AI for that reason only when you're starting out, because you don't understand the difference between good and bad in whatever it is that you're creating. And so the best way to figure out what is good and bad is by doing it yourself. So yeah, I agree with that. It's easier to implement. It's easier to implement, I think, intentional design when you do it yourself. AI may get better at that as time goes on, but I think it's easier to be intentional with design when you're doing it yourself as opposed to describing it to an AI to try to get the broad strokes done. Again, it has its use place. It will be utilized in workflows. but I think that the specific like way that they kind of demonstrated that that demo for the UE, I guess it was 5.8, not necessarily 6, but the 5.8 showcase that they did was yeah, it was, it's something that will get used. I don't think it'll be used in the capacity that they were kind of demonstrating. It was just kind of a flashy showcase and a fun way to get people who are involved in Unreal Engine kind of at least curious about it. AI is becoming a necessary industry tool for creative people to use. The scale and speed the market demands will make it very difficult to exist without using it in some way. Yeah. I think that is completely reasonable. That is a real facet of just kind of where we're at in the industry, especially in creative spaces. If you're just starting out, you should avoid using it as much as possible for the reasons I've already stated. You will learn faster if you are making those mistakes on your own, instead of an AI making those mistakes and then you trying to somehow like retroactively figure out what the fuck went wrong. But yeah, so it's good to see you, Monk. I know it's been a while. It has been a while. So going back to kind of this trailer here, I'll go ahead and play this for you guys. And I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are.
I was born to be the collector. To protect a world I cannot be a part of. Destined to be feared for what I am. It is my fate. I have devoted my life to facing them. Those granted the power to raise souls. Those corrupted by their gifts. Tilting the ancient balance toward cataclysm. But at last, their debt is due. Every choice, every breath has led me to this moment. As the moon bears witness, I take the first step. My time has come. I am ready.
So, pretty cool trailer, right? I think that's a pretty cool trailer. I would like to show you what the reception to this has been so far, because they released a prologue that you could play through. 2,000 reviews, mixed. Why is it mixed? So there were two things. One, there was no actual combat in the demo. Kind of a stupid decision in my opinion for them to release something that is meant to give the player a semblance of some type of gameplay and not actually allow you to engage in the combat, which is very much so something that they are showing in the trailer. So that's one thing. This is the other one that a lot of people seem to be saying. Cannot support any game that uses generative AI in the development process, especially when they try to hide its use. That game looks beautiful. The only thing that we know of, at least at this point, it's possible that they used more, probable that they used more, but the only thing that we have confirmed for sure that they used AI for was literally the title card. This, 1666 Amsterdam. This is what they used some AI for. They've probably used AI for other things. But again, if your issue is just AI bad because AI, you're a fucking idiot. If you have an issue with AI being used in like there is plenty to criticize AI for. I think that there is a lot of stuff that comes from AI that is very sloppy, hence the terms AI slop, that is just enabling people to be able to put out things with very minimal effort, and they're trying to financially and monetarily benefit from it. This game has a very, very distinct feel to it. And I think that the story elements, all things considered, like I played through the prologue that they put out. The feel of the prologue, the vibes of the world that they're trying to put together here, feel great. So, as far as I'm concerned, if they've used AI in the development process of this, fuck it. Like, and I know that there will be people who get pissed at me for saying that, but man, if it helps you reach your goal and expedites the process of you doing so, what the fuck's the problem? Now, there are legal concerns. There's a lot of legal gray area right now in regards to like the utilization of AI, because AI is trained on a lot of data that these companies did not get permission to use. You know, so there is that element to it. And if you want to not use AI on the grounds of that, I will not say that you are in the wrong for doing that. Because that is 100% an ethical thing that I can completely understand if someone is going to say, I don't want to support this. With that being said, if you want to take the space of gaming and you want to try to make something that has the capacity to be, if you want to make something in a timely fashion that has the capacity to, like, if you want to be competitive, learning how to use these tools in a way that complements your process and doesn't replace it is going to be necessary, I think, in the long run for most studios to be able to survive. There will be exceptions to that rule, and everyone's gonna see these exceptions. We didn't use any AI throughout any of the development process, and everyone's gonna suck the dick of whatever fucking developers say this stuff. Like, okay, sure. Like, I'm not going to discount the success stories that come from that. But people will use that as like a poster boy to be like, see, this is why you shouldn't do it. Because it can be done without it. And it's like, okay, but it can be done with it as well. So why not utilize those tools? Like, it's naivety, in my opinion. They used AI with intention to fit their vision. They didn't use AI to drive the vision in the direction of the game. Exactly. It's an intentional use. It is not a use that replaces what it is that they're trying to do. I think if they used Silverstack as a source for AI data, then it would have been less a gray area and agreed upon mining data. Sure. And there are probably AI tools out there that use like open source data for training. I imagine most of the big ones probably don't. And I'm sure that there will be legislation that comes down the pipeline eventually that starts to regulate that. But at that point, you know, by the time legislation actually exists to regulate that stuff, day late, dollar short. Like, that the damage is already done. It will be good for people moving forward because they will, at least ideally, have some type of assurances that protections exist for the work that they create. And I understand, you know, there are concerns that I've heard from like actual artists that work in the games industry. They don't put their work on websites that used to be used as like showcases for their art, for their portfolios anymore, because they don't want AI to be scraping those websites for what they've made. And that's a valid concern to have. It's also like to me, that is, while it is a valid concern and it is a real like ethical conundrum, I also think that it's not something that we can really do much about, and maybe this is callous of me, but if you can't beat them, join them. That's kind of my thought process on it. There will be people who draw those like ethical lines in the sand where they're not willing to cross them, and you know, I don't fault those people for doing that. I'm also I'm just personally of the opinion that like it doesn't make sense to try to fight all the changes that are happening, because you're not going to be able to do that. Like, that will not pan out for you, I think, in the long run. The only way that this is all going to fall apart is if the actual use cases of the AI just don't end up materializing as profitable. And I think that is very, very, like, it's very possible that that will end up being the case, and there will be a lot of things that, you know, the house of cards will eventually fall in, and whatever's left is going to be ubiquitous. But we don't know what that's going to look like, so it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to try to fight against that on a personal standpoint. You can walk to the store rather than use a car. Exactly. I think training AI you made with your own concept art is also 100% okay because it's your own training data. Yes. But like when we're talking about AI training, like for AI to get to where it currently is for like image generation, just for example, like that image generation has come from teams of hundreds, if not thousands of people refining these models that have been trained on like millions, if not tens of millions of data points. Probably more than that, honestly. Like probably hundreds of millions of data points to get them to where they're currently at. And they're still like not making things that are like, you know, when something's AI, it's getting harder to tell, but if you're looking for it, you can generally tell when something is generated by AI. So I mean, like, sure, if you want to like have AI have your data contribute to AI training, like that's fine. Individuals contributing their data to AI training, I don't think is like the issue. It's the issue of like the broad, like the populace having their data training AI. But I digress. So what games have you guys been playing? What have you guys been up to? I haven't like talked with anyone recently. It's been a minute. Let's do that. There we go. Let's do a little bit of a full screen here. I'll get my normal like scenes set up sometime within the next week. But
I took too long and ventured too far while you were waiting.
it's good music, man. It's good music.
Bye, Mom.
Just been busy working on Sydney Lancaster music. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Been putting out some good stuff. I know, like, I haven't looked at it recently. Been playing Dragon Age Origins. Hell yeah. I've been playing fucking Kingdom Come Deliverance too. I have actually found that I've enjoyed this game significantly more than I thought I was going to. Like, it's actually genuinely quite enjoyable. I literally, so I've put about 35 hours into the game so far. I got a lot more content to get through. I haven't even done like the wedding yet, which is a pretty early game thing to do. Practicing the words. Good. Oh no, it's an explicit song. It's got bad words in it. Damn! Sydney's profile picture got some bazonkers. Awooga! Oh, man. Just one fucking though. Oh man. You know, oh, this was literally earlier today. Join us later today as we catch up on all things Kingdom Come Deliverance community. Rattay tournament, Kuntahora, fan creations, new merch, and more. We'll even find time to continue our community playthrough. Screenshots for GTA 6 Ultimate Edition look amazing. Best screenshot so far. I saw some of the screenshots, but I haven't like looked at GTA 6 screenshots. What do we got? 12 vintage Vice City screenshots. All right, what do we got here? What do we got? Jason Duvall. Some huge Doban Hankaros. Humongous Hanaloranonomogongas. What have I been doing for the past year? I briefly talked about that essentially at the start of the stream. I was kind of essentially just detailing why I have not been streaming over the course of like the past 8 months, 9 months. I'll give you the footnotes. Job layoff. Got a job. That job wasn't enough to pay the bills. Had to get a second job. Really don't like working that second job. Still currently don't like working that second job, so that's been a little bit frustrating. Why I actually originally stopped, I was very close to getting kicked out of the school program that I was in for essentially there was concerns surrounding streaming, material being, I'm gonna pause this so that I can actually listen to this song here in just 1 second. There were concerns about when I was streaming, student privacy concerns, actual material for the university being streamed when it wasn't supposed to, and AI usage for the purposes of some of the actual like material. There was a lot of concern on their part for cognitive debt, and so I had a meeting with the lead of the program to essentially make my case for myself as to like why I was doing what I was doing, and that there was no actual like malcontent or there was no like nefarious intentions behind any of what I was doing. Luckily, they believed me and they did not kick me out of the program, but they did give me a corrective action plan that I was going to have to participate in to be able to continue on in the program. So there was a lot of stress that was kind of coming from that. I got into a relationship. I also got broken up with. Short-term relationship, but for my turbo virgin ass, that was the first relationship I've ever actually been in. That was pretty emotionally difficult for me to deal with at the time. And these last 3 months in particular, were very difficult because we made a game. I am very happy with what we made. I think that the game that we made is very solid for the time constraints that we had to make them. I worked as the producer and the level designer on that game. I am very happy with the work, and as an audio designer. I'm very happy with the work that I contributed to it. I'm very happy with the way that the game came together, and I'm very happy with what was included in that game in the time frame that we had. Yeah, made the game as part of the school program. Talked with my other classmates that I've worked on the game with, and we're gonna, over the course of the next month, continue working on it just so that we can polish it up to a point where we are feeling a bit more satisfied with it for using it as a portfolio piece. So over the course of the next month, that's kind of what I'm going to be doing in a lot of my spare time. But the production process of that game was very, very challenging for a multitude of reasons. I won't bother getting into them at this point in time, as it involves a lot of other people, and it's not, I'm not going to be detailing like or airing out like dirty laundry of anything. Suffice it to say, it was just very, very challenging to deal with. A very, very good learning experience for me. If I'm wanting to go into the realm of production, which I do, I think that dealing with what I dealt with throughout the course of this program was probably one of the best things that I could have experienced. And that was reiterated to me by a teammate who was in our group who already has some industry experience. Yes, typical group project BS. And there was a lot of really, really hard stuff to deal with that I was very frustrated by in the moment. But I think lent itself well to me learning how to navigate some of the realities that I will probably be dealing with as a producer in the realm of game development in the future. And I think that those struggles that I dealt with will probably lend themselves very well to any given interview process, you know? Once we get our game polished up, we'll have it posted up on itch, so it'll be free to play and check out. I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys once we actually get it to that point. But yeah, so. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong, Albert. Like, it sucked. It kind of sucked ass to deal with that relationship stuff. That was also a learning experience for me, and the breakup happened right in the midst of when development was really ramping up for the project for the game that we made. And so it was like the mental of just dealing with that while also still having to fulfill my duties as the producer and level designer, which the level design work really started to ramp up immediately after I got broken up with. And so I was taking on extra responsibilities in addition to being the producer. That was just, it was just a lot all at once, and my mental was just not in a position where I was like, I just didn't have the bandwidth to do any streaming. So there's the footnotes for you on why I have not been around as much. But that being said, let's look at these photos and listen to the song. Because I thought that was my natural habitat. I gave him the pen, they drew a punchline, and I just nodded saying, yeah, I look like that. Now I'm learning the reflex to submit. He's spitting out the bitter things they said. Practicing the words. This game looks pretty stunning. Jason Duval, Lucia Caminos. Look at the water. The water stuff here looks great. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this strawberry. Also, what kind of place uses a whole ass strawberry as a garnish? I want to go wherever this is, because a whole ass strawberry as a garnish is crazy. Part of me wishes that this game was going to be coming out on next gen consoles, as opposed to like I know it's a meme that, like, you know, the game is like, oh, we're getting this before GTA 6. I understand that it's a meme. I really do wish that this game would come out on next gen consoles. Like, I know it'd be another couple of years, but I think that it would be significantly, like, they'd be able to do a lot more with it if it were to come on next gen consoles. Because, like, I mean, current gen consoles, they've already been out for like, what, 6 years? Like, this game has gotta be like being, it's gotta be scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as like its actual performance capacity on those consoles. You'd think, right? The entire 3D model, not a part of it that would be sliced in the middle. I mean, the 3D model is just like part of the, like, it's as if it were sliced in the middle, I think. It looks like that's kind of what it looks like to me. It looks good regardless. Cal Hampton. I like that song. You were right. Good one. Violence is cool. Thanks, video games. Booby Ike. Guy's name is Booby?
I'm surrounded by the souls of those I've lost. I'm the only one whose line I haven't crossed. What if the greatest threat we'll find across the sea is me? What if I'm the monster? What if I'm in the wrong? What if I'm the
Draquan Priest.
hiding all along? What if I'm
Draquan Priest.
every time I cave to guilt? What if I've been far too kind to foes, but a monster to ourselves? What if I'm the monster? Is the
PS6 Pro to come out to play it at 8K 60 FPS? Bro, dude, I understand that 8K is like a thing at this point. I don't think we're ever going to actually, like, 8K is so unbelievably overkill. Like, you're already not able to tell the difference between, like, I think honestly, you're more likely to get, you would be much better off getting a 4K panel that is more color accurate than getting like an 8K screen. 8K is like, I don't know. I think it's excessive. I think even 4K, like 2K in my opinion is like really solid. 4K is nice. I don't think it's really that much better than 2K. Real D-Mez as opposed to fake D-Mez. Raul Batista.
I lost my best friend, I lost my mentor, my mom, 500 men gone. This can't go on, I must get
to see Penelope and
Telemachus. So
Telemachus.
if we must sail through dangerous
Speaking of
oceans and beaches
Penelope and
so cold,
Telemachus,
Poseidon
who's going to go
will
see
be
the
just
Odyssey
if
when
I
it comes
gotta
out?
drop another
Give me 4K 120
infant
hertz or
bomb.
2K 240 hertz. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Become the monster.
I will do you the blow.
Don't become the monster like
Brian Hader. Yeah, that's our old Florida man right there. Hey man, that's actually kind of crazy. Like that, the way like the kind of folds of the skin are looking right there looks really good. Oh, Telemachus. Ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. There's a monitor that this company has made that's the old boxy TVs, the CRTs, baby. There's a lot more colors available in the intensity of the colors comparison to even 8K. You know what's crazy? You wouldn't be able to tell. Like it's one of those things that you can't really tell unless you're looking side by side. My TV that I have in my room is not an 8K, a 4K TV, but it's an OLED TV. I will tell you, I have a splitter that runs from my ultra wide monitor that I have here and this, so they essentially mirror each other. When I play Kingdom Come Deliverance, I have like a very like I have a controller that I can like sit in my bed with and just play a game on the TV and it'll be on both screens. The color difference, the color contrast difference between Kingdom Come Deliverance on an OLED versus like my regular LCD is insane. Like seeing that difference side by side, it's like, oh, okay, OLED actually like makes a huge difference. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty cool. Like it's beautiful.
Fine, but only if you answer a question or two.
Of course.
Okay, so let's say I was
Yeah.
run or hiding from, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Poseidon.
hear that,
Let's
I hear
say
that.
He blocked the way home with giant waves and giant
Brian
storms.
Hader.
How am I to
Is that cocaine?
How am I to
Is
get
that cocaine?
Which route should I take? Where am I supposed to go?
He will chase you high and low, so find
Vice City.
he'd never go. The one way you'll get home is sailing where he's scared to roam. Oh, it's through the lair of Scylla. This
You know,
is
like
your
GTA, like as like the formula of GTA has never really been my thing, and I've talked about this before on stream, but it's like
Will you
I am going to be curious to see what this game like is like from a technical standpoint. The actual game itself, I'm actually less interested in. I want to know what they worked on as far as like I want to know what the technical advancements from GTA 5 to GTA 6 on this are going to be, and why this game cost $1 billion and took 8-9 years or whatever to make.
The things I do for you.
Just general Vice City screenshots. I mean, I know it's ridiculous, but like this looks so good. Like the representations here of like also like both of these dudes just staring at the massive ass right there. I feel like that's pretty accurate. But like the folds of the skin on this just like are so well done.
My real wife knows I'm not scared of the water.
Also, what the hell?
Knows I don't have a dog.
Getting arrested. This cop is just like,
You were so focused on turning
dude,
my madness
what?
to snap.
There's not single chance in hell that someone would be doing this if 2 of their friends are in the process of getting arrested. No way in hell. But it's Vice City, so it's also vibes. That's also just kind of GTA. GTA always just kind of takes like the stereotypes of like the worst of humanity and just like cranks them up to fucking a million. That's just what GTA does. Let's stay on that flower, baby. Hey, you know what? That's fair. I can't even argue with that. Believe very positively that we age the cells in our eyes gets weaker. The resolution gets weaker comparison to when we were like 10 years old. I mean, as you get older, your eyesight definitely gets worse, generally speaking. Rockstar Games allows you 24-hour access to look at the code and structure of everything in the game and join which would I look at. I mean, to be clear, I'm not a code head. I don't know how to code. I really don't. I also think that like for me, I like the design elements. And when I talk about design, I'm talking about like when you talk about gameplay design, what you're talking about is the systems that interact with each other to make the experience that you end up getting. So what that might look like for like I'll just take like Skyrim, for example. Like a gameplay system, like a gameplay system design that would be considered like a design system would be the skill trees in Skyrim. Or just a skill tree in really any game. Like the way that you engage with those skill trees and how you level those skill trees are design decisions. And while the technical elements of that are very interesting to me as well, like an example in specifically GTA, like GTA 5 came out on the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 was a very, very limited piece of hardware. You couldn't really do a crazy amount with it. And yet they still accomplished a massive, sprawling game. One of the things that very recently I was like, you know, the technical elements of this are really, really interesting was in GTA 5, how they were able to effectively handle the tracking and placement of the switching between characters and how they handled it. Because if enough time passes, you know, if you sleep as one of the characters, when you wake up, you're essentially starting fresh and you don't know where the other characters that you can switch to are going to be in the game, right? But as soon as you switch to those characters, immediately, like for Trevor, for example, like you can wake up practically naked, laying on train tracks as a train is careening towards you. Like that is a legitimate place that you can start in the game when you switch to Trevor on a fresh day. But from the moment that you swap to Trevor on that day, he is then starting from that location going to be traversing the rest of the world on his own, and you can track essentially that location at any given point in time, right? So the technical question of how were they able to handle, or how did they go about handling tracking this data, and then also ensuring that between like the loading the data in and out of memory with a very limited set of memory while still like creating a cohesive experience that feels enjoyable to engage in and like reinforces the world building. Like it only makes sense for Trevor to be the one to wake up practically naked on a train track. Like, you don't know how he got there, but it makes sense that Trevor was the one that is doing that. It wouldn't make sense for any of the other characters to do that, but because it's Trevor, it makes sense. Like, that kind of blending of the narrative design feeding into the world design and the systems design, the way that those things coalesce together, that type of stuff is really, really interesting to me. And that leans a lot more on the side of design than it does actual development. Design is about the systems that you put together to create the experience. Development is about the mechanical structures that you put in place to implement those designs. And I would say that while both interest me, design is more interesting to me, I think, than development overall. There was also a really, really good video that GMTK put out recently. Game Maker's Toolkit. This.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure
So
thing.
we're not
How
gonna watch
much
the
do you
whole
spend
video.
on
I'm just
growth?
gonna kind of skip to like a specific part. So GTA, yeah, this right here. It's just funny that it's specifically talking about GTA in particular. I think this was no, this wasn't San Andreas. GTA 2 or something like that, or whichever one. He was essentially like with like literally megabytes worth of memory. With megabytes worth of memory, how were they able to actually go about designing something, like designing a world that felt open and sprawling, and how were they able to do that with such limited capacity, like for actual hardware? And this was a really, really interesting thing that they
The
that he kind of showed
GTA
off
3
here.
source code, rewrite
thing.
several sections of the program,
So he actually like decompiled and decompiled the code and like made his own thing so that he could showcase what was actually happening in real time to be able to make this specific thing possible. And what he shows here is super cool in my opinion.
and compile a brand new executable.
So I got the GTA 3 source code, I rewrote several sections of the program, and I compiled a brand new executable.
Now
This
you
is how
can
they
see the trick, how Grand Theft Auto 3 loads and unloads a small number of assets into memory as you move around Liberty City. It secretly builds the world in front of you and it silently deletes the world behind your back. Basically, instead of trying to fit a whole city into memory, Rockstar instead built a moving window which shows just enough of the city to make the illusion work. And with this, Rockstar could build a city as big as it wanted, with artist Aaron Garbett saying, getting it right effectively removed a lot of limitations for scale and detail. We could build what we wanted as long as the area around the player would fit in memory, and we could get it off the DVD fast enough. Now,
So like that's a really, really cool like way to think about and like to talk about, like, you know, you're dealing with technical restraints. Like that is a cool thing. And this is like the whole idea of streaming, not live streaming, but streaming assets in a game is still something that is done, but it can be done way faster and at a much larger scale, because now we're not dealing with megabytes worth of memory, we're dealing with gigabytes. We're dealing with 8 or 16 gigabytes worth of available memory that any game is probably capable of using. Like 16 gigabytes is now becoming kind of the minimum that we're now seeing in pretty much any system, console or PC. Like, and 32 I think is also kind of like on the PC side, at least 32 is becoming much more common. But you know, it's really, really cool to see this type of stuff for me and being like, how do you make these constraints work? And understanding how to make the systems designs work within the structure of like the technical constraints is super cool. Like 90s and early 2000s era of like programming, in my opinion, like they were it felt much more like actual technical leaps than iteration, because they had to deal with such tight constraints. And that type of stuff and how they figure that out, super, super cool.
I should note, GTA 3 is certainly not the first game to come up with the idea of loading assets into memory while you play. In fact, this was already happening on the previous generation. Take the PlayStation 1 game Legacy of Kain: Soul Reaver, developed by Crystal Dynamics. The
Really good video. Highly recommend checking it out at some point. 90s programmers were so insanely good, and still, because they adopted the philosophy that you have no choice but to optimize or your PC would get burned. Yeah. There's a lot of booty over here. Vice City booty. The iguana. Rockstar Games did it the most impressively with GTA 5 using the drivers in the PlayStation 3 and other parts individually. Yeah. Like, so the idea of, like, you know, Xbox 360 was definitely way more advanced than, you know, like PS2 as far as just like the hardware and like RAM and capacity that was available to them at the time. But regardless, understanding how they're able to like make these things work, of like the real-time data point tracking and then swapping between these characters and allowing the you're jumping to literally completely different areas of like this massive map, so you have to give like the loading times there are allowing for the streaming to change because they have to unload a bunch of things that are in current memory and then load new things in based on the different area of the map that you're jumping into. Like the technical limitations of that, it's just cool. I think it's very, very cool. But anyways, the Rusty Anchor. What does that say? Sink your what?
Captain?
Oh, sink your troubles at the Rusty Anchor.
We need to get away from this island now!
Grab it all, the strength your arms allow.
These cows were immortal. They were the sun's friends. And now that
Haven't we
we've
pissed them off?
Who do you think they'll send?
Full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead.
Starlit Motel.
We're too late.
Vacancy. King size beds, low rates, pool and Wi-Fi. Woohoo! And then there's Cyberpunk that at launch would just load in extra assets randomly for the player to enjoy. Funnily enough, he actually did a video specifically talking about Cyberpunk. It was a much shorter video, but he did one for the same reason, talking about specifically the intro sequence to Cyberpunk and how they accomplished that, because the entirety of that sequence was done. It was essentially like a showcase of all the different areas of the city done in engine in real time. How they were able to accomplish that was essentially just by faking it, but the way that they faked it was really, really cool. We can show you
All right,
this as
boys,
well,
pop quiz.
'cause
What's your
I
plan
do
to
think that
lose
it's
the
also
belly?
really, really
You either
dope.
get it right or you're getting.
Hey, it's Mark. This is not like a real episode of GMTK, one of which let me pause the montage and fly around, revealing that we're not in Night City at all. It's actually a special backlot hidden away in the far corner of the world.
Like, that's super cool to me. Like, they have Night City over here, and you're jumping, like, in the intro montage, you're jumping between, I think, like, I think he says it, but like maybe like 10 different locations or something like that. Like, there's no way you would be able to actually like stream those locations across all these different maps or all these different locations immediately in the capacity that they do it. But they do it by literally just having a super hyper optimized location that is rendered in game in the moment, but you're just doing instant teleportation between like locations. Like, that's a cool creative way to solve that issue of being able to showcase the city in the way that you want to in engine, not having it be pre-rendered, while also like you know, it accomplishes like the goal that they like. It's just, despite all the memes with Cyberpunk and it loading in like these different like assets and stuff, and you know, it just being a very unoptimized experience at launch, the developmental aspects of this are still fascinating to me, and I love it.
And it contains all of the places we'll
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
visit in the
11,
montage.
12. There's
Like,
12 different.
here's the street
12
in
different
Japantown.
spots.
But it's just a small part of that location. There's nothing to the left and right of V's starting point, and if you travel to the end of the road, you'll quickly reach the bounds of the
Spider-Man PS4
world.
did this also.
And if you turn
Wouldn't
around,
surprise
hey, that's Mama Wells' house. There's also the basketball court, the alleyways, and the gun shop. The nightclub is floating directly above the Wells' house, and the car dealership is sitting on top of the club. Then, as the scene plays out, V will teleport from area to area in order to swap location, all while the game snaps between day and night depending on the current scene. So the benefit of doing it like this, instead of literally moving around the real Night City, is that we only need to worry about streaming the assets we need for this montage sequence, and nothing else. Like, this scene's environment designer says it was quite a challenge to make the streaming load in such a fast pace, but each scene was optimized and close to each other to facilitate streaming. And you can see how CD Projekt Red aggressively optimized these scenes to keep everything as lean as possible. They used low poly models and textures for stuff in the distance, and they didn't include things you can't see, like side rooms or the backs of certain buildings. The montage also implies more life and detail than it actually shows. For instance, this scene at the very beginning makes it look like you and Jackie are walking through a bustling city street, but it's actually just a bunch of low poly cars covered up by a smoke particle effect. And
that type of
literally
stuff is cool.
4 NPCs. The rest of the street is completely empty, but it feels alive in the moment. Speaking of NPCs, the game also loads all of them at the start of the sequence. You can find them just hanging out, ready to pop into action. They're also often on top of each other, which looks pretty funny, or just floating in space below their spawn spot. But by loading them in early, we can avoid that nasty thing when a character's model loads a few frames before their texture. The montage also uses cuts, which makes it look like time has been compressed. For instance, in this scene with the arms dealer, it looks like V and Jackie are trying all sorts of different weapons with chunks of time cut out between movements. But in reality, all that's happening is that the characters are teleporting to new locations and starting new animations, which looks like a jump cut. It's the same thing that powers this funny animation in Super Mario 3D World. Then there are the mirrors. So this is why the scene couldn't be pre-rendered. It features the player character who is completely customizable, so every version of this montage is unique. But yeah, mirrors are as much of a technical challenge as streaming in the world. But by going out of bounds, we can see the trick in action. So Jackie's room features a mirror, but it's actually not a mirror at all. It's a window to an identical copy of Jackie's room on the other side of the wall. And so when you're looking in the mirror, Jackie and a clone of V exist in the mirror room, while the player character is in the real room. And then when Jackie grabs you by the shoulders, he instantly teleports from the mirror room to the real room to make this shot work.
Like, that's cool. That's cool. Like, I don't care if you have mixed feelings about Cyberpunk. That's cool.
Clever stuff. Though, admittedly, not that new. It's the same technique that gave us the mirrored room in Super Mario 64, after all. And so, with these tricks, right, the fake Night City set, the spawned-in NPCs, the staccato animations, and the mirrored rooms, CD Projekt Red pulled off a real-time, cinematic montage that plays out perfectly, every single time. Okay, we can't talk about Cyberpunk 2077 without talking about its disastrous launch. It's no secret that this game was full of bugs and issues and unoptimized code, and it ran like an absolute dog on platforms like the non-pro PS4 and the Xbox One. And this sequence was certainly not immune. You'd see pop-in, weird lighting changes, low-poly models and textures, Jackie just being straight-up invisible, and other issues. But after a lot of updates and patches, this cutscene does now work pretty much flawlessly in 2026, on PC at least. Well, almost. This character's coat still renders in front of the smoke, which is hilarious, and if we're being really nitpicky, then why are the posters in the mirror not flipped horizontally? Eh? Is that some super clever 2077 technology, or just a mistake? Anyway, there we go. That's out of my system. I can
So, anyways, it's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. Something tells me that's not candy that she's holding right there. Something tells me that ain't candy. New girls, new food, open all night, hiring dancers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Careful, we're in public. Calm down. We're gonna see biker gangs driving around Vice City. Why do I think they lose?
Since hunger was far too great, I wonder who'd take the weight of the damned and suffer a gruesome.
He's got a gator. He got a gator down here. I can't tell if this gator is dead or if he's just like a pet. None better than eating a good steak at a strip club. Also, if this is supposed to be an actual gator that's alive, his foot is definitely in the bite zone. 100% his foot is in the bite zone.
Crew.
Don't make me do this. Don't make me do this. Does a college become a meteor? And does a candle become a blaze? When does a man become a monster?
Hold on. If they're in a national park, they should not have guns. 100% sure that blue candy is a reference to Breaking Bad. I don't think so. Cause Breaking Bad I'm pretty sure those, like, well, I'm definitely not a drug connoisseur by any means. Don't do drugs, kids, stay in school. I think that those blue pills are like I'm pretty sure that's more of like something that would be like akin to like Molly or something like that. Breaking Bad specifically was like, it was always kind of like crystal looking, like, or like glass stuff. This really, I mean, this looks beautiful. Booby Ike video clip. Literal like 1 second video clip. Okay, all of these are literally 1 second long. The one with the green water dock area, rumors say that they see a child in front on the right side. You see a child in front on the right side. What is that? Is that supposed to be a reference to something? Oh, the Ultimate Edition ones. Booby gets all the boob, probably.
If so, then give me sirens and a cyclops. Give me giants and a hydra. I know life in fate is scary, but I wanna be legendary. I'll fight the harpies and command.
That's excessive.
Minotaur, even Cerberus. I know life in fate is scary, but I wanna be
Legendary.
There are strangers in our halls, trying to win the heart of my mom, but she is standing tall. 108 old faces of men who call me slow.
Okay, what I want to know is like, how much is the Ultimate Edition going to actually cost? how much is the base game going to cost? Actually, that's the real thing I care about. I know, dude, everyone always says, like, oh my gosh, is the game going to cost $100? And then I hear some people say, like, oh, well, there's going to be a version of the game that costs $100. Yes, I know there's going to be a version of the game that costs $100. That's just standard industry practice. What I want to know is whether or not they're going to actually break industry standards and charge the game, like, the base price at, like, $90 or $100. That's what I want to know. Because this is going to be a game that sells, regardless of whether or not it's $100. Because this game is holding the entire industry hostage right now. But I digress. People are going insane because of the fact that Lucia has dreadlocks as an option. That's just noise. That's noise. I don't care about that shit. That cool. Dreadlocks. I don't know, like, it's, to me, that's kind of like the same type of like thing as like freaking out over the 1666 Amsterdam like AI title card thing. $100 plus $30 a month subscription. That would be crazy. If the game was $100, the game is still going to sell. If it has a subscription model built in, that would be fucking crazy. Subscription models are like, I feel like subscription models are very, very dated at this point for games. Like, there are some games that are kind of like the legacy titles that can still get away with it, but I think that they are few and far in between. Like, I don't think that a subscription model for a game is actually a viable way to like do a game these days. Maybe you could frame it in a way that, like, if you were marketing like the studio as like having something that the studio can provide for the sake of like a subscription fee, sure, but for the game itself, I think that'd be a much harder sell. Be cool if Jason had an option for dreadlocks. Character customization's not really like a huge thing for me. I don't spend a crazy amount of time on it. It's not a big pull for me. But
Need some help?
I think, guys, we're probably gonna go ahead and call things here.
Is your plan to stand
I will be doing more streaming. I'll be live again tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. All over the course of the next week or two, I will try to get my like normal scenes uploaded again, so that I can actually have my normal setup going.
All right now.
But yeah, so I'm glad to be back at streaming, and I will continue streaming. I will probably be doing a lot of reading of books. The first book that we're going to be going through is The Art of Game Design. So if you guys are going to be tuning in, know that you're going to be getting a lot of development related content. There's going to be not as much gaming going on this channel these days. The next year is going to be, I'm going to be very intensely focused on positioning myself, trying to get a position in the industry. So I'm going to be doing a lot of pursuing of different paths for certification stuff that I need to be doing. I still need to refine my plan based on some feedback that I got from one of my instructors. But there's going to be a huge amount of just intense focus on my part for developing production skills. And that is kind of going to be what I'm going to be doing a lot on this channel moving forward. And I'm probably going to be making a lot of YouTube videos surrounding that stuff. The streaming is going to be a way for me to hold myself accountable to doing some of that stuff. It's going to be much less about much less about the actual gaming side. It's going to be about production and game development. So, with that being said, guys, I'm glad to be back at it. I'll be live again tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Appreciate you stopping on in. Monk, Albert, thank you guys for hanging out. Zala, if you're still here, appreciate you stopping on in as well. Will there be cameos from the General to do some reading? Probably not. Probably not. The General himself is, he's, in deep space right now. The General is, he's a good guy, but he's busy. So, with that, I'm gonna call it. I will have my alarm set so I can be up and at 'em, streaming at 5:30 tomorrow. And then I will have my stream schedule for next week posted before the end of the weekend. I won't be streaming over the weekend. Got some other stuff that I'm doing. Made a really good and memorable character with that one. Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I enjoy the General. I do. It's just definitely different era, different priorities for that stuff. It's not impossible that it could return in the future, but the General is not on the docket for any time in the near future. So, all right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you hanging out. I will go ahead and see you in the next stream tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Talk to you guys later.